I've seen people who just put out music and don't even really know what BMI is, right? Or ASCAP or nothing like that. Like they don't rock with none of that. But then I've seen people who are so focused on all of the technicals and got to get my paperwork right, man, that they don't push their shit. I know an artist who he went on this trip because he was listening to some people on YouTube, and I told him to turn that shit off because it was distracting him, because he was listening to some people that were saying that like you got to have certain equipment because that equipment will encode metadata into the sound waves, and then that metadata will help you in the algorithms on Spotify and shit. You got to record on high quality equipment in order to get the metadata right, because it's low quality stuff won't imprint the metadata and everything like that. And I'm like, yo, you're getting way lost in the fucking sauce. That's not necessary. Trademark your fucking name, put your BMI and ASCAP up, make sure you get solid beats from people that aren't just like jacking shit, and you don't have any copyright infringement off of it and stuff, and then just push the fuck out of your shit and have a good marketing structure where you got video elements. You don't just have one piece of promotional content that you're sitting there just pushing out every couple of days and tagging people and putting it in groups and all kinds of shit like that. Like, be diverse with all your fucking media content that you're putting out there to promote yourself. His craft is on point. Like, this dude is no joke on the mic. But when it comes to like the business side, sometimes he gets hung up on the technical shit and doesn't focus on the practical shit. What's up, y'all? Harkos here with the Music Making Sense podcast, and with me as always is the one, the only, the Dapper Dan Mohawk man with the plan, KP. How the hell you doing?
That man, he knows how to do it,
Exactly. Got your white dinner jacket on now, or is that? That's not dinner
This
jacket.
is actually this is the linen jacket, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what fucking.
Well,
certain
it's
things
like
are called.
it's
I just
more
hear
for
certain things.
it's more for the
I hear like a
summertime.
bomber jacket, and I think, oh, that's what fucking airplane pilots fly, you know, like. And
Well,
then,
that
like,
is
I hear
true. They
dinner,
do.
yeah, okay, and I hear dinner jacket, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know. You're the
The
fashion
dinner
dude, not
jacket
me.
is the one. It's my black one, the camouflage black one. That's the dinner jacket. So that's more like for formal outings and weddings and things like that. But this one is more like, this was more for like warm weather. It's just, you know, I'm chilling in the crib today, and I was like, well, I just want to throw on a nice light jacket that I can
and you've
wear.
actually. Yeah, and I've actually seen you wear that one in a couple of the videos that you posted with, like, when you drumming and shit like that or whatever, when you get all fucking mohawked out and shit, so.
Yeah, I love the jacket. It's nice. It feels nice, too, and it's really cool to play, actually, like, loose to play my drums in and shit, so it's like, dude, I can rock this jacket a little bit more of a signature style, you know?
Bro, if you, on multiple levels, if you saw my wardrobe, you would probably fucking scream. And that's
no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Honestly, no, bro. And I'm being real with you, like, because I understand I'm a man, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I get it.
Right, but you're a fashion dude, you know what I'm saying? You're hell about your fashion and all that shit.
Well, I'm more of a style guy. Like, it's more to me like, well, because no, there is a difference between fashion and style. Because a lot of dudes, they go more for fashion, like ones who like to wear, and I know niggas about to get upset with me, but the guys who really like into Jordans and stuff, see, that's more fashion.
They got like the whole Nike, they got the whole Jordan fit.
Yeah.
Like the whole fucking thing, top to bottom.
Yeah. See, me, it's more style.
I just got like it's just like a long sleeve shirt. It's blank. You know
but see, your style could go, but you could go more with us. But if I went through your wardrobe, I bet you I'll be like, oh, this is all we need to do. Right? Because there's just certain things
I just got jeans, t-shirts, and long sleeve shirts and hoodies.
Okay, and you know what? And stuff like that, you can just style with accessories, because a lot of ladies do like simple. With men, they like us to be, especially heterosexual men, they like y'all to be simple. Right? No, and I'm serious, guys. Straight up, y'all. They like y'all to be heterosexual. To my heterosexual bros out there, y'all ladies like y'all to be simple. Okay, they don't want y'all to be just simple and clean, right? And you can add a couple accessories, like if you're going out, like if you decide you want to rock you a long sleeve black shirt, right, with some black pants, with some nice black slacks, right? You could throw some nice boots on, like some nice black Chelsea boots on, and a jacket like this, a white jacket over it, or one of your favorite colors that go well with your skin tone, right?
Right.
Those are the
Well,
type of things.
White goes best with my skin tone because I'm a cracker. But besides that,
shut up. No, actually, with your skin tone, no,
right?
with
No,
your
black
skin tone,
actually does better.
well, black. Well, it depends. Now, I would add for you. You can add a lot. You can add some color. Like you could get away with more like the. I would definitely not go with pink or white, like pure white with you.
Right.
I would go more. You could go with a dark denim. You could go with some green, right? You could go with those type of colors, especially if you're adding them in with the layer of black. If you're going with that monochromatic and break it up, even like brown. Like brown would go really well with you too.
I've never so my wardrobe looks like a GD lives here because it's all black, white, and blue. You know what I'm saying? That's all my shit is.
And he said he was like a GD. That's so funny.
I grew up here in the Midwest. I hung out with GDs growing up and shit. But no, like so for me, like I got this, this is like a long sleeve shirt, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
got a couple of those myself.
My camera's still here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I got this long sleeve shirt, you know what I'm saying? And I got like an undershirt underneath it. And then I got like the blue jeans, just like regular, just like buckle blue jeans, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I actually got
man's checking out his wardrobe.
White Brooks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, those are nice. Okay, now with jeans, I would kind of discourage rocking jeans with sneaks. If you're gonna do that, like with those,
shit looks
if you're
clean,
gonna go,
I think, man.
No. Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from, but those would look with Brooks. They would look better with like joggers. And I'm just saying that because just the way they look, because they are running shoes. They're dope, but they are running shoes that have a little bit more of a flash. Not taking away anything, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, but
even like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
see, I can't. It's hard to see.
Usually it goes past the break, but I'm like trying to stand up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You can go with also casual, like a good pair of like pants to go with running shoes. Also like a chinos and like casual pants. They sell them like I know Joseph Abode and Kenneth Cole sells them. Like you, because if you rock like for you, because you like to be in that style, I'm really seriously, man. Yeah. Kenneth Cole would be dope for you because of the way because you like to rock sneakers.
Yeah,
no, because you rock sneakers like that. Yeah, because you rock the sneakers that you rock, like you rock those running shoes. Yeah, Kenneth Cole would be really cool for you.
Yeah, maybe normally well, for those of y'all just tuning in, welcome to Style Making Sense podcast, instead of Music Making Sense podcast. But
I got something to say about that too, just because since we're speaking on that, because we're talking about if we're looking at we're looking at the artist's visual identity.
Right. Yeah. No. See. I see. Well, so there you go. Music making sense. But no, like I just got those Brooks. Like I like shoes that are predominantly white. However, like I always fuck them up like quick. You know what I'm saying? Because I get them dirty like immediately, shit like that. So normally I'll rock with like dark blues or blacks. Like I used to have like a pair of like black and blue DCs. Like for real, dude. Like I grew up hanging out with GDs, but like I dress like a motherfucker too. Because black, white, and blue. That's like mainly what I wear. I got like
it's cold there, so yeah, those colors would be more appropriate.
Yeah,
for where you are.
Like I used to wear like white tees and like in the early 2000s and stuff. I used to rock white tees and shit like that. You know, some with logos on it, some just blank white tees. But like, dude, you miss yeah, I'm gonna say you miss your mouth one time at dinner, dude. That tee's done. You know what I'm saying? With a white tee.
So true.
And
so true.
So yeah, true. And so like. Yeah, so then I kind of stopped rocking the whites, and that's not a racist, but I kind of stopped rocking the white tees, and
you're still on that rice cracker fold right now.
Yo, so I fucking killed I killed, for those of y'all listening, so I killed KP because I told him, I was like, hey man, all right, y'all, Harco's here. I just wanted to take a quick little break from the episode to let every single one of you artists know about a great opportunity for you to grow your online presence through blogs and social media for 30 days for only $10. If you've already been checking out the podcast, you know I've already talked about this a little bit here and there, but I created 10 blog websites that all have their own social media presence on Twitter and Facebook, and they are growing leaps and bounds, getting tens of thousands of impressions and eyeballs every single month. And that's just not in total, that's every single account. I have a full video breakdown available for this on every platform where you're listening to this right here, right now. The episode is called How Much Marketing Can $10 Get You? All right, I go through a full explanation of it, but if you've already watched that and you want to find out more, go ahead and go to musicmakingsensepod.com, send me a message in chat, and I will get right back to you, and we will get this rocking and rolling and get you growing on social media, especially if you want to grow that presence on Twitter or X. This will definitely help you out. Like I said, I got 10 blog websites with 10 different Twitter accounts that have tens of thousands of impressions every single month. You can be right there with them, getting all those eyeballs and growing your presence online. So make sure you hit me up right now, musicmakingsensepod.com. Hit the chat button and send me a message, and we will get you on point with this great new promotion. All right, let's get back to the episode. You know how like a lot of celebrities, they got, I should have saved it for the show. It would have been a lot better.
I'm going to put it in a mark. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark it, dude. Go ahead.
But I was like, yeah, you know how a lot of those celebrities and stuff like that, they have like the celebrity names like Brangelina and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Well, my girlfriend, she's Filipino. So I told her that our celebrity, our couple name could be Rice Cracker. You know what I'm saying? And he was eating a cookie and almost choked on this motherfucker when I said it, because he thought I was being dead ass serious there for a second. But like, it's a joke, but it's funny too, because I just told my girlfriend that shit too.
I didn't think you were dead ass serious. I just thought it was funny as fuck. You put together Rice Cracker. That was just funny as hell, dude. I was mad. I'm telling y'all, I was mad. I was eating I was eating a good ass Oreo fucking lemon, dude. Right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them good ones. Man, when this motherfucker said that shit, y'all, I'm serious, y'all. I almost choked. I had to like just finish eating and swallowing it before I just started busting out laughing.
Yeah,
because the laugh was there. It was in the belly, man. Like it was there, bro. Like,
I almost got him on that one.
Oh man.
But though, I started it out so serious. I'm like, yeah, you know how these celebrity couples got these names and everything. He's like, yeah. So what's up? Like, you thought it was gonna be like extra serious, and no, But yeah, no, that. For my fashion and stuff, I just keep it simple, man. Like in the summertime, it's usually like I got some like rock revival shorts and stuff like that, like the cargo shorts and shit like that from Buck, because I like a shopping at Buckle. So like whatever they got pretty much. And so
I do like some of their stuff. I do like a lot of their stuff there. I do.
Yeah, and so like I got some
they
of
call
those
it
shorts.
Douchebag wear, but
yeah, exactly. That's how I like blending in. I got to blend in with my fellow white people. But so like so I got a couple of pair of like some camo cargo shorts. You know what I'm saying? So I can look extra douchebag. And then I just got like some different tees and stuff like that I wear. And then, like half the time, like I just wear like basketball shorts. You know what I'm saying? And like I just fucking keep it chill because I don't really give a fuck about
you just like the lounge. You're just such a lounge dresser.
No,
like,
well, there's that, but I mean, like, I'm just not big on style. Like back when I was in the army and shit like that, like I was hanging around with a lot of different people, and so like, I was getting put on to different fashions,
different
stuff like
fashions.
That.
So,
oh
yeah.
So I had like a whole Coogee outfit. You know what I'm saying? Not like the sweater with the bright colors, but like it was like a black button up Coogee long sleeve shirt. And I had like a white Coogee tee, and then of course it was like the Coogee was velvet on the front of the tee that said Coogee, and then on the back it had the big Coogee emblem, and it was all velvet and shit. And then I had like some black Coogee pants with my black Timbs. Dude, that shit was sick.
Oh yeah, because you were in there. Because you had that. Because you got the short haircut, white boy in the hip hop. So yeah,
exactly.
they just made sure they had you looking.
Yeah,
and
I
you
had
had the money to go and buy your little. Yeah, and you had the money to go buy your little something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I got back from Iraq, man, that's when I bought it. You know what I'm saying? So I spent a couple hundred on the outfit, another $100 on the boots. You know what I'm saying? A couple $100 on the chain. Done deal. Like fucking, let's go. You know, we'll go out to the
That boy
club and
was
shit
like
like that. Done deal.
That boy was like this.
Exactly. I give him that fucking that smolder look, but no, and I had like a Pele fit kind of like that as well too. And then I had some Sean John shit and stuff like that. You know, I had stuff like that back in the early 2000s. You know, because that's what you did. And then I'm just like, man, like, you know, why am I spending like $300 on one outfit?
Because you were
For
in the
what?
army.
You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah,
Because you were in the army.
because I did whatever the fuck. Yeah. Once I got out though, I was like, man, like, well, because that Coogee fit, I had to have it dry cleaned. You know how
Yeah.
much of a pain in the ass that is because it had
Mhm.
leather on the pants as well too. Like it had like that
Yep.
leather fifth pocket, and then like one of the back pockets was leather. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't throw that in the washer and dryer, you know. And then like the shirt and everything, there was all velvet and shit.
Yep.
So yeah, it was pain in the ass, especially living in
That
the
nigga was
barracks,
looking like
trying to fucking get that shit taken care of.
That nigga was looking like a goddamn dope dealer. That nigga was looking
Hell
like he
yeah.
was slanging them things, boy. You looking like he
Well,
was a snowman.
Well, I was at that time too, but we're not gonna talk about that. I started fucking around flipping some shit back then too, right then. So I was like, dude, when I got like I didn't really experience like a lot of crazy shit when I was in Iraq, but one of the things that I noticed that I did kind of go through was that like I became so desensitized to risk. And because
yeah, you
so
do.
like I said, I've never fucking shot my gun over there, none of that shit, right? Like I never got into any of that shit, never firefights, bombs, nothing like that, right? But you know, like halfway through my tour, we got extended to 15 months, and then I got put at another base down in Balad, and down there, like we would get mortar attacks like a couple times a week. Right. Ooh. And normally it would just be like 3 or 4 get popped off, and then they haul ass because QRF's coming with the Blackhawks to fuck them up and shit. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And we had like, you know, the base defense systems and stuff like that, you know, so like you'd hear like the machine gun go and it fucking shoot them out of the sky and stuff like that because they had tracking and shit like that. And so it would do good. Like every once in a while, it would actually hit inside the base, but most of the time, it hit like the no man's zone type of shit because they couldn't aim. They would just pop them off in the direction,
just popping,
off, right? They'd pop and run, right? Right. I mean, because that's what it was. Like they were poor farmers that got paid from the insurgency, which we all know who backed that, but they got paid from the insurgency to say, hey, go shoot some mortars and we'll pay you, you know, $50, $100 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, well, fuck, I got to eat. I don't have no money. We don't have no jobs because, you know, the U.S. came in here, fucked everything up.
All that
blah,
shit,
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So I get how they're coming from. You know, I don't hold no grudges. But anyway, so like when I was down there, like we would just get mortars so much that would come in that like after a month of you being there, when the air raid siren goes off, you're supposed to go run to like a shelter and stuff. You don't do that anymore. You just keep going about your day because for one, you know, they do a pop and run. And for two, you're like, oh, well, they already hit. I'm not dead. Fuck it. I'm going to keep rocking. Right. And so you just keep going. There was one time I got yelled at by like a captain. He was yelling at me as he was running to the bunker. And I was like, no, I'll be there in a second, sir. And then I just kept walking the other direction. Right. Like stuff like that. So like my time there, and then I was doing like gate patrols and stuff like that outside the gate and stuff like that. And so like, even though I wasn't in a high risk situation, there was still like whenever I was out driving around outside of base, I could run over an IED at any time. I never had any situation, but the thought is in there, right? So after about a month, all of that worry turns off. You just don't give a fuck.
It does. You don't give a
right?
fuck. Yeah.
And so like whenever I came back after dealing with that, because I was doing like we were like 12-hour days, 10 days on, 1 day off, doing that shit, right? And so like I just got so desensitized, man. And so then whenever I came back, they had nothing for us to do because my MOS was a mechanic. And like I only did a couple months of it before we went to Iraq because then we had like 6 months of combat and like readiness training and shit like that. So we stopped working on vehicles and started to go into combat mode. Right. And then whenever I was over there, we did mechanics for like a month, and then civilian contractors took over our job, and then they tasked us out to everything else. They literally had my company on 3 different bases at one point in time, like spread across all of Iraq, right? and stuff like that, you know. And so like whenever I came back, well, civilian contractors took over our job while we were gone, so we had nothing to do. So we were doing police calls like 4 or 5 times a day. For those of y'all who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, police call is not where you call the cops. It's where you go and you pick up trash in different areas, right? You just go walk around and pick up trash off the ground. Most of the time it's cigarette butts. And what's funny is that like so it's against military regulations to smoke outside of a designated smoking area, like outside of certain areas, right? Well, what people would do is, and it was against regulations to flick your cigarette butts on the ground, right? There's no littering, right? Well, people would intentionally flick their cigarette butts on the ground just so we actually had something to pick up.
Yeah.
Right. Like we would do it to ourselves. Like, oh, I'm just going to throw it on the ground. I know I'm going to have to do a fucking police call later anyway. Might as well give myself something to fucking do.
It's fucking
right?
Madness, bro. Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember those moments.
So complete madness, right? So I was going crazy out of boredom. I had no fucking mission anymore. They were giving us stupid ass tasks. 70% of my company just that I was deployed with just fucking left in either ETS or PTS, or PCS, which means they either left the military completely or they switched to another base, right? And so like I'm over here bored, have no fucking risk awareness, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'll start selling drugs while I'm in the military. Why not? I'll do it on base, off base, whatever fuck, you know, in a uniform. Like I gave zero fuck. And yeah, and I never fucked with anything like coke or heroin and nothing. It was mainly just weed and pills, but still. Yeah. So yeah, whenever I was rocking my Coogee shit and my fucking Pele and stuff like that, yeah, motherfucker, a cop could have fucking pulled suspicious activity just by looking at me and fucking been like, yo, what's up? So yeah, long story there. But yeah, like it took me a while to like turn that off because like I had the mentality, I'm like, what the worst somebody could do is kill me and they're gonna have a hard time trying, so fuck them.
Yeah,
like that was my mentality. Like anytime somebody says, I'm like, what are you gonna do, fucking kill me? Go ahead.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Now like, y'all probably asking
y'all
probably asking yourselves like, where is this going? Well, it was funny because I was sitting up just before we came on. I was just telling sharing with Harkos about I was watching Indiepreneur with Circa. Shout out to Circa. And
yeah, I've gotten a lot of information off of Indiepreneur, man, because they got like a podcast where it's not just Circa, it's the other people that are in there. I
forgot the other gentleman's name.
Bunch of white boys,
Rob or something.
But like,
I think it's Rob is one of them.
But they know a lot of stuff, man, and yeah, I've listened to a lot of stuff from them. But yeah, you're saying you were briefly telling me like sometimes for those of y'all listening, like KP, me and him will say, hey, what's up or whatever, and then like he'll like start talking. One of us will start talking about something. We'll have to cut the other one off. Be like, no, let's just save it, right? But so yeah, you were telling me you were watching this video or whatever.
So what he was speaking of, and it's just funny you brought up about about how you had to start doing a little bit of slanging on the side and while you were in the military. But he was talking about how he getting into the dope game helped him in the music business. And then I started thinking about myself and things I went through in Detroit, seeing the dope game and how it affected my family, but at the same time watching the operation of it. And it made me realize, like, as he was speaking about it, I was like, as Circle was speaking about it on on his latest episode, one of their latest episodes. I started thinking about it. I was like, that makes a ton of sense. Because but he said
perspectives.
Yeah, from many different perspectives. But the one thing that caught me was he said that artists are more concerned about the intangibles, which is the LLC, the from the registrations for the copyright and PRO,
BMI,
mechanics, that's he said we're concerned about that, and we're not concerned about the product, which is like when you get you a bag of chronic, you're gonna go look for the people who smoke chronic, right? And And he's saying that the artists are not doing enough of that. Now, when I heard him say that, and being that we both have been in this business, we've been doing music for pretty much our whole lives, right? And now we've been getting pretty much heavily into the business and having our podcast together. I felt like he was a little. I felt like no, I disagree. And here's why I disagree with. I think it's the other way around. But before that, y'all, I just want to say we are powered by Riverside.
Powered by Riverside FM.
All right, just want to let y'all know that, of course. But what I felt.
You crack me up when you just randomly do that shit.
Hey, just gotta let them know. Shout out because we are using such a great quality. Since we are using such a quality piece of software
I like the quality on it.
Love it.
Yeah, I like the quality.
By the way,
on
yeah,
it.
got to. So, but when I heard that, I said, no, I feel like it's the other way around. And and to me, even being with bands and stuff, and Circa has been in bands too, so yeah, I'm quite sure he's heard that. But when he said that, I was like, are you sure, Cirque? Because it's so the other way around. Because I've dealt with artists, with musicians who are just like, they just want to get the music out there. It was all about the music. It's about the music. A lot of them don't care about the image. A lot of them don't care about social media. A lot of them don't care about copyrights and registration. We, as the music marketers and the ones who are on this side of the business, who are working with independent artists, are more concerned about you guys getting your intellectual property together than you are.
All right, y'all, let me take a quick break right here to tell you about something that's completely fucking ridiculous, okay? It's called horribledesigns.com. And I personally know the owner, and he's just as ridiculous as this whole fucking company is, okay? If you or someone you know loves stickers and mugs and shirts with crazy, outlandish sayings on them that just are designed to catch people's attention out in public and get them to laugh and point and ask you, hey, where'd you get that t-shirt, or where'd you get that sticker, when they see it on your car and stuff like that, y'all got to go check out horribledesigns.com. At horribledesigns.com, they have all kinds of ridiculous sayings on stickers and coffee mugs, t-shirts, vinyl stickers, magnets, and even mouse pads, okay? And I'm telling you, if you guys have not checked out horribledesigns.com, you got to go check it out, because some things are straight up great, like the American Muscle mouse pad. It's got some awesome pictures of great muscle cars if you're into cars, or you know somebody who's into muscle cars and they need some great mouse pad to have while they're on the computer working. But then they also have dumbass fucking t-shirts that say things like, are you staring at my ass, with a picture of a donkey on it, or stickers that say, are you staring at my beaver, with a picture of a beaver on it. Stuff like that, man. Completely ridiculous shirts and stickers, coffee mugs, everything like that. Anything that you could ever think about having just to get people's attention, make a statement out in public, and just completely be ridiculous, and to do it with some horrible designs at the exact same time. And like I said, I know the owner, so he hooked us up with a great deal where you can save right now by using the link below in the description. Whenever you go there and shop, you will not only support Music Making Sense podcast, but you also get a great deal on any and everything that you decide to purchase every time that you use that link right there in the description below. So make sure you go check that out right now, horribledesigns.com. Use the link below in order to get good savings. Go check it out. Buy some ridiculous shit for yourself or someone you know. All right, now let's get back to the show.
So, I don't know. What do you think about that, Hark? Because
I've seen both of it. See, like, It's rare to find somebody who cares about both things. But it's easy to find somebody who doesn't care about one or the other. You know what I'm saying? Because like you, I've seen people who just put out music and don't even really know what BMI is, right? Or ASCAP or nothing like that. Like they don't rock with none of that. But then I've seen people who are so focused on all of the technicals and got to get my paperwork right, man, that they don't push their shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've talked about it on here before, but I know an artist who he's more like, me and him have talked about a lot of different things with marketing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in the music game longer than I have.
Right.
So that kind of hits my my demon that we were talking about a few episodes back, where I got that imposter syndrome type of shit, right? But anyway, so he likes to focus a lot. Like, he's good at his craft. I'm not going to say he's not, right?
Right.
But he likes to focus a lot on getting all the paperwork right. And then he went on this trip because he was listening to some people on YouTube, and I told him to turn that shit off because it was distracting him, because he was listening to some people that were saying that, like, you got to have certain equipment because that equipment will encode metadata into the sound waves, and then that metadata will help you in the algorithms on Spotify and shit. And then, like, that's what you record on. You got to record on high quality equipment in order to get the metadata right, because it's low quality stuff won't imprint the metadata. And then the person who makes the beat, they got to do that as well too, and then they got to use specific sounds and stuff like that and everything like that. And I'm like, yo, you're getting way lost in the fucking sauce. That's not necessary. I'm like, trademark your fucking name, fucking put your BMI and ASCAP up, and then fucking make sure you get solid beats from people that aren't just like jacking shit, and you don't have any copyright infringement off of it and stuff, and then just push the fuck out of your shit. You know what I'm saying? Have a good marketing structure where you got video elements, and you don't just have one piece of promotional content that you're sitting there just pushing out every couple of days and tagging people and putting it in groups and all kinds of shit like that. Like, be diverse with all your fucking media content that you're putting out there to promote yourself, stuff like that. He's like, oh, well, when we gotta get the paperwork right and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, his craft is on point. Like, this dude is no joke on the mic, right?
Right.
And speaking of fashion, he's a fashion fucking nut as well too, right?
Right.
But and he knows more about the history of hip hop than I could think of. He's like the Smithsonian of that motherfucking shit, right?
Okay.
But when it comes to like the business side, sometimes he gets hung up on the technical shit and doesn't focus on the practical shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like I said, like, he listens to these people who are like industry people or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And, they got all this certain level of credibility that they've established, however they've established it. And they're sitting there telling their audience, and he's listening to it, all that shit I just said. And so he's like, oh, I got to make sure I do that. And it's like,
is he around my age?
No, he's my age. But so I'm just like, yeah, he's like a year or two older than me. Yeah, he's like a year or two older than me. But no, it's not that. It's just what he's hearing. So, like, some of these motherfuckers out here are saying this shit that's hella distracting to people. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And so, like I said, I've met, like, I know this motherfucker. I've done projects with him, right? But I've seen people that I don't even know, who I've never met. You know what I'm saying? Who focus on all that shit as well too. They're hyper technical about all the paperwork shit, but then when it comes down to putting out their music, they get like, a still image. They're doing just like just like that. That's their video, is a still image video, right? They're just using a graphic video, or they'll call it a visualizer if they add a little effect to it or whatever, right? They don't actually take the time to put out any kind of creative, visual, attractive content for their music, right? And he's done a few, but it's mainly been me helping him. But either way, like, no, like, before he met me, he had another videographer and stuff like that. But over the last few years, it's mainly been me helping him with that stuff, right? Word. But like, he, many artists like that I see, man, they'll just be sitting there, like, they get a graphic for their song, and then they sit there and just push that, instead of coming up with something diverse every fucking time, right? Like, you gotta give something people new all the time. And so, like you said, yeah, I've seen people on the opposite side who, when you try to search them up on Spotify or YouTube or fucking even Google or whatever, when you try to search them up and look for them, you can't find them because they have no paperwork taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
They don't take care of the metadata.
No, their rap name is Lil Mo or whatever, right? Like the most common fucking name in the
Mm-hmm.
world. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like they'll have stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, just because your aunt called you that when you were 3, like you got to make sure that that's not already taken. That's not already dominated by somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Uh like whenever I ran the check on my name, Harkos, I found out that not only is it like some kind of, it has like some meaning over in like the Philippines. It's like a good like a good bringing of like a good vibes type of thing. But then like also like Star Wars had a fucking bounty hunter named Harkos or whatever, but which is
Oh.
weird as fuck. Yeah, I don't know. It was like in one of like the animated series or whatever. But um but yeah, but like so whenever you go and look up your stuff, you go look up some of these artists, right? Their music's dope. They're putting out content all the time. They're even putting out video content, but you can't fucking find them anywhere. And not only are they operating on a topic page, but their topic page has other people of the same name dropping their music on there. You know what I'm saying? The same thing
Right.
with their Spotify as well too. You know what I'm saying? You go to their Spotify and they got multiple other people in there as well too, because they didn't have their shit trademarked and stuff like that. You know, they didn't come up with something unique. They didn't do any of the business stuff. You know, and then yeah, like you said, sometimes you run into those people who are like, yo, this track was doing good and somebody came and fucking stole it from me and said it was theirs because they were able to copyright it, but I made it first. And then so they have like hardly any legal basis to get off of that with.
Right.
You know, and it goes back to the old trope, you know, that a lot of people hold about the music industry as a whole, is that the mainstream poaches on the indies to find the new sound, the new style, and stuff like that. And then they rip it off, they corporatize it and slap it up on one of their fucking poster boys or poster girls or whatever the fuck they're running nowadays. And then, you know, then they push it out or whatever. And then that indie artist who came up with it, who was the hyper creative, just gets left in the dust. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you got to have that happy medium. You know, I don't think that you have to go and overdo it on the paperwork, but it's always good to overdo it on the marketing, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. I get.
You know,
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
yeah, because I mean, like, there's just some bare minimum shit you need to do to for the paperwork. You don't have to go above and beyond. You know, you register with BMI or ASCAP, you trademark
Yeah.
your name, trademark, like you actually have like an LLC for your media company or whatever, right? And then, you know, try to shop with people who make 100% original beats. You know what I'm saying? And either lease or buy the exclusive off of that shit. That's going to be
Or
the best thing
create your
for you.
own.
Yeah, or create your own, right? Yeah, I know some artists that do that as well too. And then you got to watch samples, you got to watch clearing on sounds and loops and shit like that, right? But then like when it comes to like an actual like band or something like that, like yeah, man, trademark your fucking name, you know, and then like, you know, get your LLC and then create your music and then put it
Yeah.
out there. The most like the legal portion, the business portion, yes, that's important. But the most important part is getting your reach up and gaining your fans. That's the most important
That's the
part.
most important part.
Because you could have everything 100,000% on board, every I dotted, every T crossed on your paperwork. And if you only got 3 people listening to your fucking music, what's it worth? You know what I'm saying? If you only put out, you know, a couple tracks a fucking year, what's it worth? You're only putting out 1 or 2 videos a year. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You're not producing that product. You know what I'm saying? You're not putting that product out. Then what? You know, I feel like that's hustling backwards just the same way as the opposite. You know?
Yeah.
And that, like, you know, I see people talk about that all the time, like with the paperwork and everything. And there's a lot of artists out there that don't like any of the business stuff. They just want to be the creative. And like you've said many times before yourself, KP, like, yeah, we understand that, but you got to know at least a decent amount about the business so you know you're not getting fucked over. And so bare minimum, you can do it yourself if you have no monetary budget to have somebody else do it. You know, stuff like that. You know, you don't have to be a fucking genius, you know, like me, because nobody else can really do that, you know, because I was born this way. So it's genetics. I can't help it. But like, you still got to make sure that KP loves when I say that shit, but you know you still got to fucking put that shit out there, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and it's just, but at the same time, you got to watch out for people that are trying to rip you off, and I think that's what turns a lot of artists off to the business aspect. You know, because me and you are marketers, right?
Mhm.
And so we're artists as well too, but we like to help artists with their marketing, and that has a bad name. Not only
Yeah.
from these international spammers with crazy accounts and stuff like that will hit you up and say, "Oh, I'm a marketing expert," you know, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But you also have all the people who will just scam people out of their money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made a post on my Facebook the other day, and me and KP were actually talking about this on an episode that we had yet another technical issue on. For those of y'all listening, the last episode that we put out, we had a technical issue with my vocals, and I went ahead and put it out because it was like 2 days before we were supposed to put it out by the time I recognized it. So we just went and put it out. And then we had another episode that we tried to record twice. And both of those times, the first time we had an issue where the shit, the files got deleted on accident or something glitched out, whatever happened. And then so we went and re-recorded it. Yeah, well, we went and re-recorded it, and we actually went better and harder, and it was a dope fucking episode. However, for some reason, it only recorded 4 seconds worth of KP's audio and video, so it was just me for 2 hours talking. That's the only recording that we had,
Yeah.
and so obviously that was fucking shit show. So we're like, okay, and then you know, we went ahead and just like took an extra week off, had some stuff hop up and everything like that, you know. And then, so then 2 days ago, we went and sat down and shot an episode. Well, then my dumbass forgot to fucking do a sound check on my shit to make sure my mic was right, so it didn't sound like it did on the last episode released. And so then whenever I heard it, I was screaming out loud at myself and fucking getting pissed off and everything. And so then now we're back here again. But anyway, I was talking about this. So I made a post. It said, you know, so for those of y'all who don't know, like I make websites. I do a lot of, me and KP do a lot of services and helping artists, right? Not just consulting and marketing and stuff like that, but offer a lot of services. And one of the services I like to offer is website building. And I feel like I give a pretty good fucking rate, especially for what I do. And it's good for a lot of artists that are trying to get up, trying to just get their shit established, right? You know, I don't think it's right to overcharge people who are trying to get started, because then that creates a lot of barriers in their path to their success. And I'd much rather help them out at a fair rate, monetary rate, and help them see more success than just worry about my bank account, right?
Right.
Which I do worry about my bank account, but we're not going to talk about that. That's my personal fucking craziness. But anyway, so I decided, I'm like, okay, how can I say, yo, what's up? I'm building websites for $150. Hit me up. How can I say that without sounding like a sales guy? So I'm like, okay, let me try this. Just got told I'm fucking crazy for building websites for $150 with $0 monthly cost, right? And so that's half true, half a lie, right? So I didn't just get told I was fucking crazy for doing it. I've been told in the past, but I didn't just get told, right? So that's the only part that's a lie, is I just got told, right? But I do build websites for $150, and I can set it up to where it's like a $0 monthly cost for people. They wouldn't have to pay the $30 to $50 a month for website hosting and all that crazy shit, right? I had people in here, a couple people interested, some people not. But this one guy said that, I was ripping myself off by over $500 by selling it that low. Well, come to find out through a thread, overall, he was pretty pissed off, right? Because he said, I'll say a couple of things, right? So he said, you're ripping yourself off over $500 depending on your custom functions. And then, of course, he dropped his website on there, which is mixtapehustler.com. So I don't know. It looks like a fucking junky ass little website too. It was just really crazy considering the rest of the conversation. But he, go check out the website if y'all want to. I just said the name of it. I didn't say it in the last recording we did, but whatever. Anyway, so then I responded, I said, I'm not ripping off artists, and that's what matters most to me. And he said, I charge $1,000 for custom builds. Like I said, you're ripping yourself off. And I said, I'm helping artists. It's not that difficult to build a fully functioning site. 1K is excessive. And he said, nah, it's not. When you spend 2 weeks on a site, how long it take you to build? Question mark. You building from scratch or using a website builder? 1K is not even a week's worth of pay, and $150 only covering a phone bill. You aren't ripping off the artists. You are but you are ripping off yourself and other developers with subpar pricing. Now that right there, for those of y'all listening, boys and girls and they and thems, that right there is the meat and potatoes of why he messaged me or he put a comment down here, is because he said you're ripping off yourself and other developers with subpar pricing. So I'm undercutting the fuck out of him, and he doesn't like it because now it exposes him as overcharging for a fucking product, right? So then he keeps on saying, I just like to get properly compensated for my time, what obviously everyone does, right? And yes, building a complex website is difficult and takes time, up to 30 days. But when you already built a template from a website builder and charge $150, how is that not ripping off the artist? And I said, I'm delivering a service to artists at what I see as a fair price. If they spend $150 on a site with me, they have $850 left for real marketing as opposed to spending $1,000 with you, right? And then that set him off, and he went off some more, and I just stopped listening to him, right? Because I'm no need to, right? I made my point. I'm offering stuff for a good rate. He's pissed because he's actually been getting people dumb enough to pay in 2024, right? When there are sites like Wix and Squarespace, and even GoDaddy has their own website builder, MailChimp has their own website builder.
Yep.
All these other website builders have it where it's drag and drop, build it yourself, and you can do it watching a tutorial on YouTube, or even the tutorials they have on site. They'll walk you through how to do it. You can use templates, like he was trying to demonize, but you can use templates. You're like, oh, I like the layout of that. Let me switch the colors. Let me put my own branding up there. Put my own stuff in there. Boom, I'm up and running, and it's a site. I like the way that looks. I didn't have to do a lot of crazy stuff. But he's over here being like, yo, I charge $1,000 because I'm building it custom from the ground up. And it's like, no, what you're doing is you spent however many years learning coding and C++ and C# and all that bullshit coding language that's pretty much irrelevant now. Sorry about your luck, buddy. You picked the wrong fucking thing. Well, not that you didn't pick the wrong thing, is that you didn't change with the times and upgrade your knowledge. So you're still sitting over here being like, yo, pay me $1,000. I'll build you the site the right way, not using any templates. That's cheating. That's low quality, subpar stuff. And it's like, yo, are you fucking kidding me? Because Wix and Squarespace are like the number 1 and 2 like fucking website building companies on the planet, right? Like WordPress has fallen. It used to be the top one, but it's so complex and so coding heavy that you actually have to know how to use code, like computer programming code, in order to operate a website on a medium level, at least on WordPress. And I've tried to build websites on WordPress, right? The drag and drop technology they have is dog shit. And you have to basically be a coder to know how to do it, right? You got to be a computer programmer. And so that's probably what he's using. Props out to him or whatever for fucking learning how to fucking use WordPress. But I don't use WordPress. I figured out a fucking better way to do it easier, better, faster, and cheaper, right? And so that's called capitalism, motherfucker. And like I said in the last episode that KP loved, I was like, look, Mr. 1996, it's 2024 now. You can't be fucking rocking that kind of shit no more, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't need to code shit manually anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? We got large language models and shit like that that'll write an essay for you. You know what I'm saying? But no, like shit like that drives me up a wall, right? Like whenever I see artists, I was talking to an artist the other day about marketing, and they're like, they're like, oh, I got a project I'm about ready to drop. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, how big's the project? He said 8 tracks. I'm like, all right, how many videos? I was like, how many videos you guys? Like, I got 1. I'm like, do you plan on having more for your project? And he's like, yeah, man, but I want it to be industry quality, so I gotta save up the money for it. And I was like, So I immediately thought, okay, here's another one of these artists who's falling for this shit about they gotta have the industry quality image to get noticed, right? And so they gotta spend $700 or $1,000 on one music video to get made, right? Because somebody's using a Rebel RX5 fucking camera or whatever the fuck, right? And then they're using like, you know, some $5,000 fucking computer to fucking edit it and everything like that, right? Because people think
Yeah.
just because you spend a lot on something, that means it's fucking high value, which it doesn't. Because I mean, hip hop was made by homeless people using fucking old record players and stitching them together using wiring in order to make turntables. So don't fucking tell me that you got to have the high value shit, because hip hop blew the fuck out of disco, and disco was the one that had all the money. All right, y'all. I just want to take a quick break right here to tell you about something hot and spicy. And no, I'm not talking about that Latina thing that you saw on Tinder the other day. I'm talking about hot sauce. And not just any hot sauce, but Tennessee Hot Sauce Co. All right? I personally know the owner of Tennessee Hot Sauce Company, and I've seen him grow this company from just something that he would sell a few bottles at the local farmer's market to something that can ship all across the United States now, all right? And you guys have a unique opportunity right now to save 20% by using the code MMCPOD when you check out on any order over at Tennessee Hot Sauce Company's website. All right, that's tnhotsauceco.com. Make sure y'all go check them out and use the code MMCPOD over at checkout and save 20%. You guys got to check this out. All right, they have all kinds of great flavors. My personal favorite is poblano jalapeno. It has a mild kick to it because I'm a little bit of a bitch when it comes to spices, but it has great flavor. I put it on all kinds of stuff. I put it on steaks. I put it on burgers when I'm cooking them. I put it on tacos and enchiladas, stuff like that as well too. But I've tried many of these other flavors like the garlic habanero and the honey habanero, the blood orange ghost, and the pineapple habanero. Now, the pineapple habanero was one that really snuck up on me because it had a great sweet flavor of the pineapple, and it wasn't nothing overbearing, but it had a very good flavor to it. And then all of a sudden, boom! I got hit in the ass with a habanero, and I had to go grab some milk, all right? But these are some great flavors, and they have all kinds of different options. They have the collection, which has the full lineup of all 6 of their most popular sauces. They also have different subscription boxes. You have a 3-sauce option, a 4-sauce option, yearly and bi-yearly options available as well too for the boxes. Then you also have all kinds of other new flavors that they have that I've never tried yet. I actually got to get that shipment in here soon of the barrel-aged whiskey and the mustard dill scorpion. Those are 2 that look very interesting, and I want to try them out. One thing I did try is one of their new options that they have here, which is the poblano jalapeno beef jerky. But like I said, I love the poblano jalapeno sauce, and whenever I tried this jerky, no bullshit, I ate the whole bag before I can even sit down and shoot this promo right here, all right? And so luckily, I know the owner, like I said, so I got another bag on the way, but y'all gotta go check it out. And he also told me they got some more flavors coming out of the jerky as soon as they get operations up and running on that brand new venture right there, all right? So again, make sure y'all go over tnhotsauceco.com, use promo code MMCPOD at checkout and save 20% on your order. And on top of that, orders $50 and over are free shipping in the United States. So again, make sure you go check this out. Small batch, small brand, but powerful flavors. Tennessee Hot Sauce Company. Now, let's get back to the show. Right? And yeah. So to see people in hip hop that have no relevance.
Well, rock and roll had
that.
the money, actually, if you think about it. When that whitewash rock and roll had the money more than anything.
Yeah, rock and roll had a lot of money, but
because the disco was more, because when you think about disco was more built from the more black queer community. It was just when they started. It was more like when Kiss and when Kiss started, but when Kiss made that disco album, that's when it was like, oh, disco sucks and this, that, and other. That's really when it was like a bunch of rockers and metalheads that was like punks that started going up against disco.
Which I didn't think about it like that, but Yeah, I mean the reason I was saying that is because like the disco halls, like hip hop took over for disco in the realm of like, you know, um um
A
fuck.
music from the people from the a music that was like from marginalized people, I would definitely say.
Well, there's that, but I'm talking about what's the name of the first group? Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar
Sugar
Hill,
Hill
okay.
Gang. They were like the first one to pop up on the main stage and really compete with disco and kind of kick disco out. That's kind of what I was going off of that. But yeah, rock and roll did do a lot of damage to it as well too.
Yeah. I think it did
But
the most damage.
quite possibly, yeah, because
Truthfully,
rock
because especially
rock
with
had like a
Will,
20-year reign after that.
yeah, and also because of the fact when all the rock when those rock fans got together, that movement,
Hmm.
and they ended up paying like they went to, I forgot what stadium it was, but they ended up burning rock. They ended up burning disco records in that baseball. I forgot which stadium it was, but they ended up burning all those records. That's when I was like, because I was watching it yesterday.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, and when I thought about it, I was like, that is what happened. And
Yeah.
that is when that's when you saw the 20-year reign
Yeah,
of
because
rock.
rock,
Or like,
yeah,
yeah,
because at the end of the disco reign, they had like a 20-year reign. Rock did, and then like in the '90s is when hip hop really started making some noise and
yeah.
really like started overtaking. And over the next 20 years after
Hmm.
that, hip hop has now, well, 40 years technically since then, since the '90s, 30 years, but they've actually taken over rock like a motherfucker for
Yeah.
the most part, especially on like
Yeah.
commercialization portion,
That's
and
why they tried to pull it together so fast when hip hop came out.
Yeah, there's that too. There's a lot of things with that, but
Yeah.
like I just I don't know. Like it really bothers me whenever I see people getting ripped off and in all kinds of different elements. And so
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm even undercutting myself a little bit making these websites for 150 and shit like that. But the way I see it is I'm helping people out and I'm not ripping them off. Well, now I just earn their trust. So
Yeah.
now any other thing that I want to help them out with, anything that they need help with, they come to me. Right. And like
Yeah.
I said to that guy too, they now have more in their budget than what they would have if they went with fucking Joe Schmo over here
Yeah.
and paid $1,000 just for a website or 700 or $1,000 just for a fucking music video. And like I tell artists, I'm like, look, like use what you have until what you have pays for what you
Yeah.
want.
Pays for
I
itself.
heard that off of Adam Ivy
Adam
years
Ivy.
ago, and so I give him credit every time I say it. But like I love using that. That's a great mantra because like everybody has a motherfucking cell phone. And if you got a
Yeah.
cell phone that's at least 3 to 5 years old or younger, then you can shoot in 4K and 1080p at minimum, right? And
Hmm.
so you can take that. Me and KP actually on the deleted episode that we had to do, we went and I had him look up the numbers on this, but there is almost 5 billion people that have either an Android or an iPhone, right? And I
Yep.
think it's like 2 to 1 Android versus iPhone. But
Yep,
either way,
3.5. It was 3.5 million for Android,
mhm.
1.6 or 1.3 billion for iPhone.
Yeah, it was something right in there. Yeah, that's
Yep.
good pothead memory, dude. Good job. But but because I couldn't remember that shit, and you're the one that smokes. But yeah, but so like with iPhone and stuff like that, you got Macs or the iPhone that have iMovie on it. You got Android. I mean, you can even get CapCut, which is a free app that you can
I'm
download.
gonna
You
start
can
get. I'm
edit
gonna get that
video.
one, man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna get that one. I've been really looking
yeah.
at that. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not a
it's
bad
cool as
one at
fuck.
all. You can edit your videos. You shoot them with your phone. You edit them on free software. You can if you want to use it on a computer, you can even get DaVinci Resolve, which is almost like Premiere Pro, just a free version. They got the different paid options in there as well too, but you can use the free
Hmm.
version and edit your shit out there, no problem, right? And so you can use the phone that you're already paying for your everyday shit. So you're not paying
Adobe's
an
got
extra thing for a thing.
Adobe's got been getting into the content game as well, like
Mm-hmm.
using they've been advertising, like using text behind your on your pictures and stuff, or when you're using
Mm-hmm.
videos. using
Mhm.
text behind it and stuff. And yeah, they've been
Yeah.
getting into the game too. So
Yeah, I've been starting to mess around with learning a little bit of that before we implement that because I use Adobe Suite. I like everything in
mhm.
Adobe, and when I'm editing the music podcasts and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I've been looking at doing some of that with putting words on the screen and everything like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can do all that yourself, and it's not that difficult to learn how to do. And there's tutorials on YouTube that you can do for free. So like all this shit you can do for free, and all you gotta do is get one person to hold the camera for you and
Or
go over
get your
different angles with
devices.
them. Yeah, or get you, a fucking selfie stick or a fucking, yeah, KP's got this little selfie stick thing. My bobber here, this little stand or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You
And
get
this
your
one has a
stand.
remote.
Yeah, and
This
it's
one
got a
has a
remote
remote
and
to where I can
stuff.
turn the. So if I put the camera on,
Mm.
put the camera on this baby. Here, this. Boop, get my pretty little hand mug in there. So I can. Yeah, that's right. You say you're the smartest, so I can say I got pretty mug. We're even. And then I can just turn it on, and boom, it's actually recording us
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
see, it's
So,
it's that simple. Like there's all different kinds of things out there. Fuck, like one thing that I've even been thinking about getting is you can go buy like a $100 or $200 drone off of Amazon that has a
mm-hmm.
follow me feature on it, and you set that and it'll follow you around as you move. So you can record yourself and move around. You don't have to just be like, standing in one spot because your camera's sitting on a ledge or on a tripod or something like that. You can move
Yeah.
around. So you can make something from nothing, whether you're in the
Mm-hmm.
hip hop game or not. Like that's how hip hop was started. But whatever you're doing, you can get it going. You can make something from nothing, and you can get your marketing up. You don't have to spend $700 or $1,000 on a music video. You can shoot and record and edit
Shoot,
yourself
record from there
by just spending some
yourself.
time. Right.
Yep.
Or if you don't want to spend the time editing it, you know what I'm saying? Send it to somebody like me who only charges like $300 to edit it. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
shoot it, I edit it, boom, done deal. Knock it out. Get it taken
There
care
you
of
go.
for you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
even I
those are the
mean,
kind
yeah,
of things
sitting
I
here
do.
now. Yeah, even me just sitting here right now, I'm just gonna just record this clip and I could just put it on Instagram
Yep.
or anything like this. And what's cool about it is that the fact that I'm showcasing us recording our podcast and how we do and how
Mhm.
we actually do the work. So
Mhm.
if you're into that type of stuff, so like, if you got a podcast or whatever and people want to see you, people do like to see that type of stuff where
Mhm.
you're working behind the scenes and things. They love that stuff.
Yep.
So guys, hey, showcase that work.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
your fans
Yeah.
really do like that stuff, man. People
Yeah.
really do. You think people like, well, nobody cares. Stop listening to people who speak in absolutes when it comes to you doing this type of work, guys. Because
Exactly.
people who speak in absolutes are absolute liars. And I'm gonna tell you something though. I fib like a motherfucker in my life, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't speak in absolutes.
Hmm.
Because at least I got the balls to tell you that I'm fibbing to your ass, right? When
Right.
I know I am. But my point is
Exactly.
this, right? Is that straight up, guys, people really do like that stuff. They
Mhm.
like the behind the scenes stuff because it's authentic. It's them seeing you in action.
Mhm.
So think about that. Like even for me, like today was crazy, Harkos, is that I was sitting up here before we got on air. And I started thinking about, and shout out to Natasha, Natasha Brito. There's a young lady who she has this austere, she works with austere, her company's called Austere, and she does branding and marketing for artists. She's a musician
Mhm.
herself, and she brought up this really cool point about when it comes to figuring out your brand. And I think a lot of times we as artists don't do this enough. But when
Mhm.
she said it, it made perfect sense. And she said this, and artists, I really want, and I think we really need to practice this. She said, turn on your music, sit down, close your eyes, and listen to it. And she said, meditate. And as you meditate, everything that comes in your mind, write it down. You're going to open your eyes because it's going to pop into your head. Write it down. Then go right back into meditation mode. Because you're going to, if you got like for myself, I got an entire album, right? Or EP or an EP. I'm going to have to sit there. I'm going to actually sit there and listen to it and really think about the things that come through my head when it comes to my brand. All right. I even thought about that as we're doing podcasting, right? When you came up with the Dapper Dan Mohawk Man, when you came up with that kick, for me, it was like, okay, that's a brand.
Right.
Right? Because it's like the way you say it, the way it flows, that whole thing, that's a brand.
Right.
And easily. So it's like, well, if I'm going to do that, then I need to uphold the brand of being dapper. So,
well, and that is you, man. Like almost every time we're on the podcast, you're wearing something nice or nice-ish. Like you've only ever wore like a hoodie a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And you got a mohawk and you're a man, you know what I'm saying? So like, boom, it just like, just like rolled off my tongue. And then, dude, whenever you texted me and you're like, I'm going to start doing that Dapper Dan Mohawk Man thing, I'm like, okay. And then the next video I see is you in that white, whatever the fuck jacket it is called now, you on the fucking drum set with your mohawk extra spiky and you're over there fucking doing your thing. I'm like, holy shit, man, there you go. You know, because that is what you said. Yeah. Is your brand.
And the crazy part was that who ended up sharing that or ended up putting that into their story, was Paisley and Gray.
Yeah, Paisley and Gray. Yeah, we talked about that a few episodes ago. Yep. Yeah, because you tagged Paisley and Gray because that's what you were wearing. Yeah. And then they put it into their story. And it's like, why? Because brand recognized brand. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Not only did you give them a shout out on their clothes, but you were repping their brand and their clothes in a unique way. You know? And so just like you said, you know, like that lady said, meditate on your shit. Think about what you're about, what comes to your mind whenever you're thinking about your music. And then you put that out as your brand. That's amazing right there. Like for me, like whenever I'm writing music, I'm like seeing a video while I do it. Like just automatically in my head every time, right? Like it's like I'm creating a mini movie in my head whenever I'm writing. Not
and that's where the whole
though.
Yeah, but that's where also another day I forgot the young lady that was on there was that brand that Sean showed on No Labels that's on the Instagram page, no labels necessary Instagram page. He showed this young lady speaking about creating your content first, then creating the song. See, already you're in the mindset of creating. When you see, like you just said, when you hear your music, you're thinking of the video. See, that's what you do. And when you think about it, if you look at it from an artist's perspective, guys, even before we had the internet, okay, think about this. When I was young, and that's why headphones are so comfortable for me to wear during a podcast. Like sometimes I feel naked without them in the podcast. Right. Here's why. Because growing up, I would sit and listen to music with my headphones on, and I would sit crisscross applesauce, and I'd rock back and forth as I'm just rocking to the music, and I would just close my eyes and I would listen to it, right? That's where my ability to learn how to write lyrics came from, because I was listening to the music and I would do it for hours. And it was to a point where my family was concerned about me doing that. They thought it was straight up, dude. It became a thing. And it was the thing that I did when it came down to me writing. That's how I ended up writing lyrics. And then I got in, and then as you know, it did affect me in a great way, especially when it came to the relationship with my first daughter, because I was still doing it and I would shut everyone out, and with my ex-wife and things too. So I started getting out of that mode when I got divorced. I broke out of it. And even
Mhm.
during the divorce, and I started getting out of it.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing where it's like now I'm starting to see how it's affected me as a musician as well, because now, to be honest with you, I haven't written as much
Mhm.
because I'm not in that mindset. I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot more working with artists and things like that. But now I need to, because I do want to get into sync licensing.
Mhm.
And I'm in it already. I'm in it. I've invested into it. I've gone deep into
Right.
the waters with the shit, right? Like, so
Yeah.
now it's like, and I've invested into lessons. Like, I invested
Mhm.
into the entire Musuro camp, Musuro camp. Shout out to them up in Canada. I
Mhm.
invested into that to get to do for guitar, um, guitar, vocals, piano, and drums, right? So it's still there,
Right.
right? And so that's why, like, it's like, yeah, you have to, you guys, you put it like this: if you do want to do this craft, you have to, and you do have to embellish yourself into it, like you really do, guys, because it's a skill that you have to keep. It's one of those things, like, even when it comes to marketing, this is not a get rich quick scheme skill. This is a skill that Harkos and I, we've had to watch for years. And we're talking about it within this time and within this spectrum of it existing to us, right? But the idea of it has been out since since the creation of the music business,
Mhm.
right? And Barry White, rest his soul, was the one who said that. He was the one who said that we are going to have to not only become the singers, the songwriters, but we're going to have to become the producers, the executives, the managers. He straight up said that. He said, "This is our life." So if if one of the greats have said it, so it is written.
Yeah. 100%. And
You
if
know
it's
what I mean?
gonna,
Like,
yeah, and if it's gonna be
for
your
real, dude.
life, yeah, if it's gonna be your life, then you need to fucking treat it right, you know?
Yep.
So, as we always say, like, if you need help with anything, let us know. I mean,
Yep.
fuck, you already heard a couple of my lowball ass prices that I got. But,
Yeah.
we offer free consultation to help you out and stuff like that, get you a plan rolling and go from there. I mean, obviously we drop all kinds of knowledge and shit like that here on the podcast every week. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure you check out the previous episodes and stay tuned and everything like that, and share it with other artists that you know. That's one thing I see
Yes.
with a lot of artists as well too, is that they will hold information because they think that if
Mm-hmm.
somebody else knows about it, then they're going to get the leg up on them. They got a poverty mindset when it comes to their to knowledge, and that's fucked up because that's not how anybody grows.
No.
Like, yeah, you don't tell everybody every move that you're getting ready to make. I get that, right? But you can't have a poverty mindset when it comes to knowledge, because, like, for instance, like, I saw somebody a little while back post something on social media. Oh yeah, I'm moving in big ways. I got a new plan, everything like that. I'm going to be doing it good this time. And I said, oh, well, what kind of tactics are you thinking about using? Oh, the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, really? The good one. Okay. Well, awesome. Like, and, yeah, it was fucking good. And then I was like, well, I hope the good ones. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna give my game out here. I'm like, who said you were original with it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
Like,
just
the
want to
thing
say
is,
that
like,
message right.
and then it's funny you say that, because, like, I've been go and check out music marketers and out there, and when I see them, I'm like quick to, and especially if they say something that's grabbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely giving them a shout out. Like, so the one that the Natasha, I'm gonna definitely give them look up her Instagram page, because that's she does have one. And so I can share it with you guys, because she gives very valuable information. And I think that sometimes a lot of us don't want to. We think that, oh well, we want to be the best at this or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, look, man, there's a great network of people already who are who have things together and got courses selling for a cheap price. And I'm like, hey man, and I've listened to them, and I'm like, I'm definitely gonna get the course myself. And she talks about artists. One of the things she talks about is artist visuals, the artist visual identity. And I think that's something that you guys check out, that she talks about. That's what she was talking about, meditating about your, meditating your brand, listening to your music and meditating, and just those things that come out that you think of naturally, or wake up, write them down, go right back into it until your songs are all done. Right. And then get out of there. And then, but like her being given that valuable information, that's something like I want to share. And I want to make sure that people go to her and get more information, because she's, she's brilliant. So, and I think that's another thing too, is that we got to share the people who are out there that we are, like, when we get, because I know we definitely do that, like the ideas and things that we hear, we're quick to say, hey, this is the person that came up with it.
I don't steal anybody else's idea and think it was mine.
Because that's that, it's intellectual property, which we were talking about earlier about, so guys, so just like, the thing that we're just trying to say is, like, yes, there's the conflict between artists not wanting to put out a product, and then the other ones that mostly that worry about the mechanics and the intangibles. So worry about the tangibles versus intangibles. Well, I say this, you need both.
Yeah.
All right.
You need a healthy mix of both. Yeah. Yep. And like I said, the technicals are not that complicating. Nope. And you get those taken care of and you're done. Yeah. And then you just focus on the actual craft, the actual gaining of your fan base, and trying to find real fans. So just like the drug dealer mentality, you know what I'm saying? You can't go to a church and try to sling your fucking drugs. Odds are you're not going to find very many people that want to bite, right? But you
not
go to
yet.
the right
you gotta wait.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you go to the right places, and you'll find the right people. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know, like you said, like he said, you got to know your brand, so then you know who to put it in front of. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that takes some time. But yeah, listen to us, listen to other music marketers and stuff like that. If you want any like list of ones that we think are better than some of the others, we've already said some of them here on the pod, but just let us know, and we'll message us, and we'll give you a couple and point you in the right direction to some other people to get some other ideas from. And
I think we should do a top 10 favorite, or top 10 that we recommend.
Yeah, we could try that as well too.
Yeah, I think we could do that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, just let us know. Shoot us a message or something like that. We'll get back in touch with you. musicmakingsensepod.com for any and everything Music Making Sense Pod. Send us a chat on there, send an email, all that junk, everything like that. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Make sure you tell other artists about the show. Tell other people, let them know, say, hey, you're into music, check out these guys. They're artists. They talk about music marketing all the time. Only one of them's a genius. The other one, he's really smart too, though. And, just listen to them and come up with your own ideas. Let me know what you think about this podcast. What do you think? Do you think they're on point? Do you think they're off point? Shit like that. All that fun stuff. So until next time, we'll see you later. You have a good one, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, man.
Oh, yeah, your music. This is different music.
This is the intro.
Powered by Riverside.